Recording. So, welcome back, my fellow educators and school leaders. I'm Avinash, your co-founder at Tomo Club, and welcome to a new episode of our podcast series. Today, we have Dr. Joseph Williams joining us to continue our conversation around AI. So, Dr. Williams, welcome to the podcast, and it's really exciting to have you. Would you like to introduce yourself for the people?
Yeah, my first of all, thank you for the opportunity to even come on your podcast. I have my own podcast, so I know what it's like to, try to get people to come on. And no, I was very grateful when I saw the invitation from you and your co-founder. So yeah, happy to be here. Yeah, my name is Dr. Joseph Williams III. I've been in K-12 education for, whew, man, it's been 30 years. I started in 1994. And I've been doing this for a long time. I've been a special ed teacher. I've been a PE teacher. I've been a social studies teacher. I've been a coach football and basketball here in the United States. I was an assistant principal. I've been a principal since 2008. So, I've been a principal at every level. I've been a principal at the elementary level, the middle school level, and most of my career has been at the high school level. But right now, I'm currently a middle school principal in a school right outside of Seattle, Washington. And yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So I've been following your, work in AI space in the K-12 specifically, and whether it's a newsletter, your YouTube channel, I saw that you were delving more into teaching AI operationally rather than just the basic tools or basic conversation, which I loved that, you were talking more on ground implementation. So the my goal today with you is to ask you some different questions, ask you
Mhm.
more from the ethical nuances or strategic nuances rather than, again, the fundamental questions, which I hope all of my audience are now beyond that. So,
Yeah.
so the first thing that I want to ask you is about the blind spots. And when I say
Mm.
spots is um, like from your vantage point as a principal, what are those areas or opportunities which schools are missing the most in terms of leveraging the AI?
Well, first of all, just adopting it. I think that, in our profession, the K-12 space, change doesn't come easily. And so for me personally, it was like, okay, AI is here to stay. This is the greatest invention, obviously, in our lifetime. A lot of people don't realize that. That's what's really kind of concerning for me when I think about the K-12 space is like, I don't even think people realize how much this is going to revolutionize everything that we do. Obviously in the K-12 space, but just in every area of our lives. And so for me, it was like, okay, I don't know if you've ever heard of James Altucher. He wrote a book called Choose Yourself.
Yeah.
And so I chose myself. I was like, you know what? I'll be the ambassador. I'll get out there and I'll create my own avatar and I will model exactly what I'm seeing in terms of how AI is going to change this space. And so for me, it was about creating my own avatar. It was about, introducing the K-12 community to all the different AI tools that are out there so that they can at least start exposing themselves to it. And so my goal when I think about my LinkedIn channel, when I think about my YouTube channel, is to be the go-to person for K-12 educators. And they might not realize it now, but they will one day. Like I'm very serious about this and I'm very committed to this. And like I said, I know that this is not going away. And I really look at it through the lens of being a father, not even necessarily a K-12 educator. I have an 11-year-old daughter and I have a 15-year-old son. And so when I think about the world that they're going to live in 20, 30, 40 years from now, it's going to be drastically different
Yeah.
from what we live in today. And so for me, it's like just making sure that not only K-12 educators have the necessary exposure to all the AI tools that are out there, but also making sure that we're doing the right thing by our kids and preparing them for the world that they're going to live in, which is going to be drastically different from the world that we live in now.
Yeah, no, I can totally relate to that. Even I have a 1-year-old baby now, and I can't even imagine what it would be like for him. But So you are saying the biggest blind spot right now is the adoption itself. And
Yeah, just the adoption and the realization, like really even not even the adoption, it's the realization that AI is here, AI is not going anywhere.
mm,
And I'll say it like this, and I'm sure you've heard this as well. AI is the worst it's going to be right now.
mm,
Like it's only going to get better and better and more ingrained in what we do and how it impacts our lives. And so when people are looking at it, I always like to go back to any new invention that has revolutionized the world that we live in, from the airplane to the internet to personal computers. Like all of these things were difficult and hard to adopt before they just became mainstream, right? And so for me, it's like, how do we get people to realize that this isn't going anywhere? And unlike those previous inventions that I mentioned, this is going to happen a whole lot quicker than
yeah.
any of those. And so, and if you don't catch on, and if you don't adopt, and if you don't start implementing, if you don't start believing that this is the future and the future is now, then you're going to get left behind.
Yeah. So that's totally true. In terms of like usage, it has been already insane. More than billion plus active users on ChatGPT and OpenAI in itself is unbelievable stuff. So I agree with you. So what has been the most impactful area in K-12 that you have seen in terms of KI, in terms of AI?
I don't see it yet. That's the problem. Like
Oh,
I don't see where it's really being adopted. I feel like, in a lot of ways in the 21st century, we're still educating kids like they're in the 20th century. That's
mm,
the problem, right? Like we're not preparing students for the world that they're going to live in. We're preparing students for the world that is already come and gone. And
true.
so that's scary. Yes, you're right. You're right in the sense that a lot of people are on Chat GPT, but they're using it like a chat bot. Like
Mm,
they're not using it to its fullest capacity of what it can do. And so even when you say people are using it, are they really using it? You know what I mean? Like are they really adopting it and really using it to its full potential? I know none of us are probably using it to its full potential, but you have to be willing to kind of get outside of your comfort zone as it relates to
mm,
AI. And I don't think even when you say Chat GPT, which obviously I'm on Chat GPT too, and I love it, but I feel like people are using it more like a chat bot, more like they use Google. Like, find me the nearest restaurant. Okay. You don't even need AI for that. You could have used Google, right?
yeah.
So I don't think they're really, yes, you're right. They're using it, but are they really kind of digging into it and seeing how it can truly impact
Mm,
their profession and their day-to-day lives? And so that's what, like, even when I think about my channel, my channels, my LinkedIn channel and my YouTube channel, it's like, okay, yes, and yes, you are using it. Maybe you're using it through Chat GPT or whatever, but are you aware of the different, you know, programs, the different apps that are out there, like a MagicSchool AI, or how Canva is being used in the classroom, or Conmingo? Like there's a lot of different apps out there that are really specific to K-12 education, and I don't see a lot of adoption of that in the school system right now.
yeah. No, I totally align with that in terms of like stages of AI. So most of the people are using it for level one and level two. So level one being chat bots, level two being more problem solving or human level problem solving. Level three is slowly coming up when people are talking about agents, which can be like a true employee in a way working for you. And beyond that, of course, then AI takes away the innovation aspect also. But yeah, right now
Yeah.
people are on level one, and it's gonna inch very quickly to level two and level three. I'm
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Um, but in terms of like school operations and school
Mhm.
decision making, uh, I know it's not being implemented right now, but in the next 3 to 5 years, where do you see its application going to be most relevant in terms of school operations and decision making?
It's going to impact everything. Like, I mean, when you talk about the use of data to inform your leadership, decision making, data to inform how you teach and reteach in the classroom. Like there are so many ways to do it. I think what it will do more than anything, it for people that truly adopt it,
Mm.
is it will make them better practitioners in whatever position that they're in. So if you are that teacher, it's going to be much easier to create those lesson plans. It's going to be, more importantly, much easier to pivot for those students that need that additional support, and
Yeah.
providing the different tools so that they can modify the lessons that the students are learning in their class. So from that standpoint, I think it's really going to impact what we do in the classroom. I
Mhm.
also think that from an equity standpoint, AI can be the great equalizer when you think about the haves and the have-nots. Students that grow up in affluent communities with A-rated schools. I think AI is a great equalizer in that sense. And so I think
Mm.
when you start talking about inner city schools that, don't have the quote unquote resources that, maybe some more affluent districts might have, AI can be the great equalizer as it
Yeah.
relates to that. So, but yeah, from an operation standpoint, I'm a school principal. Like it's been game changing for me, just in terms of how I communicate with my staff, my community, in terms of how I do my evaluations, and provide invaluable, informative feedback to my teachers so that they can be better in their craft and what they do in the classroom. So, yeah, it's going to, for those that truly adopt it, it's going to
Yeah.
really be a game changer.
No, I agree. I think on top of it, I have few more ideas. I think whether it is resource management of the school, in terms of student schedule or managing teacher
Mhm.
schedule, which takes a lot of time. In terms of bus routing optimization, how
Yep.
do you ensure,
Hmm.
in terms of identifying students' area of interest and letting their students have their own personal choices in the schools,
Sure.
to them. Because when you say that, it needs one-to-one counselor support, which is not possible right now. Schools are struggling with anything from 250 to 3 is to 1, 300 is to 1 counselor. So I think AI can really provide that one-to-one counseling to each kid. So yeah, I think the number of possibilities are huge.
Yeah, it is. And, when you start talking about AI agents and things of that nature, I mean, I don't know if AGI is here, and we know that, you know, ASI is not here, not even close,
Yeah.
artificial superintelligence, but it's coming. Like, that's the thing. That's what I don't, and I don't think, like, just like Chat GPT just kind of appeared on the scene and totally revolutionized everything a couple of years ago. Like, I just feel like for those that are really, and it's a mindset thing for me more than anything, that are really in tune to what's coming and really willing and open minded about learning and growing in this space, those are the people that will very easily adapt, right? And those that are, I like to use the mindset model. Carol Dweck wrote a book called Mindset, and you got people that have a fixed mindset and you have people that have a growth mindset. And the people that have the growth mindset are the people that will adapt to AI, and it will impact in a positive way how they do their job. Like you said, where there's operations, where there's instruction, where there's admin work, and at the building level,
Mm.
it will definitely make people that really adapt and adopt, AI, that more efficient and more proficient in their job.
Right, right, absolutely, 100%. Um, so I have one theory right now, which is pretty experiential, that I do not marry with one AI product right now. You know,
Okay.
I keep on switching between different products depending on how they are evolving themselves, and also depending on different applications. So let's say if I use for research, maybe I have a Gemini Pro. For my email writing, or my um, pattern analysis, I'm use ChatGPT a lot. But for my data, I use Claude. Um,
Hmm.
how do you see these companies like MagicSchool or SchoolAI, which are coming in right now, with one
Hmm.
product and asking you to be a part of it? Do you think it might be counterproductive or counter relevant, because the technology is evolving so quickly that sticking with
Hmm.
one may not be the best strategy?
Yeah, that's a catch 22. I think is there has to be some balance. Like you, all the different tools that you just mentioned, I use. Like I've used Claude. I had a I had a subscription to Perplexity. Like I've done all of that, but at the end of the day, like I just use Chat GPT. It's nothing against Claude. Like you're right. I
Mhm.
feel like in a lot of ways, Claude is better than Chat GPT.
Yeah.
But I also feel like what I don't want to happen, and this is very, very common in K-12 spaces, I don't want to get into this shiny object syndrome either,
Yeah.
right? Where every little new thing that comes on the scene, we're running after it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think when you talk about just the baseline of how it works, like those apps that you just mentioned work pretty much the same, right? Like
Yeah.
you said, there might be one that's better at doing one thing than another, but at the end of the day, I'm more about making sure that people have the foundation
Hmm.
and that they get the foundation down pat before they really start delving off into, and I like to use the house construction analogy, like get
Hmm.
the foundation straight. Don't worry about what you're going to paint the living room and the bedrooms and all that. Like let's make sure this foundation is really solid, and
Yeah.
then once you do that, then you can delve into, like you said, more experimental and other apps. And but like you said, I think it's super important with how quickly AI is changing that you're ready and willing to pivot if you need to pivot,
Hmm.
right? Because as much as I love Chat GPT, and I know there could be something that comes on the horizon in a couple of years that will blow it away, right? I
Yeah.
always like to use like the Google search, internet search. Google was not the number one internet search engine,
Right.
right? AOL was, right? And so AOL, if you were a betting person back in the 90s, you would have said AOL is going to be the future.
Right.
And even after AOL, Yahoo was bigger than Google, right?
Yeah.
So it might be a company that's not even
Built
it might
yet.
not even be exist right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That will be the future. And so you're right. You have to have the mindset that, hey, I do need to learn it foundationally. I need to really learn how AI works. And if I choose fill in the blank, Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT, whatever,
Hmm.
that's fine. But I also need to have the mindset that I'm willing to pivot if something much better comes along.
Makes sense. Um, so actually that point brought a new question in my head is when we talk about improving schools' operational complex problems or solving student related issues, like there, if we can identify why they are is an chronic absenteeism in the school or why their academic score is going down or if there's a behavioral issue or student identifying student at risk, all these things will involve student sensitive data or school sensitive data, which they which I'm pretty sure nobody is going to be comfortable putting it on an open source LLM. So how will schools be able to use AI for their operational efficiency if they can't share the data of the students or school?
Well, we have access, obviously, as administrators and counselors to student data now, right? I don't think it's about access necessarily. Like, I mean, we have access now. Like, I mean, you name a student in my school, I have 1,000 students, I have access to all their data, right? It's not so much access to the data, it's how you use that data to help
Right.
that student, right? And so to me, it's like, and that's where I think agents in the future will really help in the K-12 setting because, like you said, it will have an automatic alert or an automatic call to a parent when, Jamal hits 5 absences or 7 absences or 10 absences. Or, it will automatically send a robocall maybe to a parent when their grade falls below a certain grade. So I think this is more about AI making us more efficient with our jobs than necessarily, because again, like I said, in terms of access to data, we have the access to data. It's like data rich and information poor, right? Like, what are we doing with the data? Are we using the data to efficiently help us to do our jobs and help our students and support our students to the best that we can? And right now, yes, we have access to the data, but I don't know how well we're using that data in real time for our students. And I think that's where AI will be a game changer.
I understand, but if that means that schools might have to create a private LLM in a way, or they have to deploy the servers, because how will this use AI if they can't give access? Like in your case, you were able
Mhm.
getting insights needs data source. So how will you find?
Good point. You're right. I don't know. That's a good question, but there's people out in this world a lot smarter than me that I'm sure are working on that.
Hmm,
Because again, like you said, whether we're talking about the K-12 sector, the financial sector, nobody wants people having access to their financial data. So, I mean, I think that's an area, security, and making sure that data is safe as it relates to personal issues. I think
hmm,
just like with the internet, there will be companies that spring up that provide that kind of support. And
hmm.
yeah, that's actually a potentially good, you know, company that somebody out there could think of to start because it will be needed.
Yeah,
And yeah, the LLMs are important, and making sure that you have access to this data is important. But if it's not secure, then people aren't going to be willing, or organizations like school districts are not going to be willing to put it out there. So,
yeah. I thought so. Okay, now tell me more about your AI avatar. Like, how was
uh-huh.
experience, and how did people's reaction was that, and how has it changed your future strategy with communication? So tell me everything about AI avatar. I'm super excited to know that.
Yeah, so I mean, if you go far enough back in my, for example, my LinkedIn newsletter, like I was always, doing talking head videos or having interviews with different educators or whatever. And when you're already a full-time principal over, school with over 1,000 kids and over 100 staff members, it's just super difficult to find the time to do that. And so when this avatar, when I started being exposed to companies like HeyGen, it was like, wow, this is something that I could actually maybe create an avatar myself and allow me to scale up the message that I'm trying to send out to the K-12 community. And so, yeah, it's been awesome, really, because I just started. We're having this conversation in late June of 2025. I just started this avatar in early June, June 10th to be exact. And
Okay.
so it's um it's been amazing because obviously I started with 0 subscribers on June 10th and it's June 28th and I have over 400 just that quick. So it's
Hmm,
um it's going to grow quickly. I'm not even worried about the growth. Like that's not even my issue. My issue is just really putting out information through my avatar, but also letting being a model for K-12 educators in our K-12 space that they can do the same. And
hmm,
it could be somebody that's a principal, it could be a district administrator, it could be a teacher that just allows them to be in more than one place at one time. And it's their same likeness, it's their same tone, and it's their same message, more
hmm.
importantly, that is being put out there by someone that obviously is connected to the individual. And so for me, it's been really game changing. It's been really cool to do that and I love it. Like I batch produced 8 different messages just in the last couple of days, and I'm super excited about putting that information out there in the space as it relates to different AI apps that can be, adapted for K-12 education because it doesn't have to be an app that's specific for K-12 education. It's just how can we take an app, for example, a chat GPT, and how can we make it beneficial to K-12 ed? So, yeah, just really making the K-12 community aware of several things. First of all, that they can create their own avatar. Second of all, it K-12, our AI is not necessarily here to replace K-12 educators. It's here to enhance what we already do. And so just really embracing that and then modeling that for our K-12 educators and our K-12 community. Like, hey, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And so just being willing to do it. I've always believe that you can show a person how to do it or you can do it for them. And so
Yeah.
I'm showing them how to do it, but also I'm putting together a program where I can actually do it for them, help them create their own avatar, help them, create their own unique voice. And then if they don't feel comfortable with, how to put the message out so that their avatar sounds as much like them as in terms of the message they're putting out, and providing that service as well. So super excited about the opportunities that exist, and I'm putting together a really cool team that's helping me do that. And so, yeah, we're excited. Future's
Faced
bright.
that makes sense. Faced any ethical or any pitfalls till now? Saw it going rogue?
What do you mean when you say ethical? Like as it relates to my avatar?
Yeah.
I don't know how it could be, like, unless it's something that I got a problem with. If the real Dr. Joseph Williams has a problem with the avatar Dr. Joseph Williams, yeah, it could be a problem. But no, we work it out,
No, no.
But no, but more importantly, to your point, I do think it's important for there to be a clear disconnect in what I do on my current job and
Mm.
what I do with my avatar. So I do really try to make that very clear that the avatar is speaking on my behalf, but I'm busy doing my job, my main job, right? And so that's important. But also what I say, just making sure that what I say is in alignment with the values of the school system that I work with. And
Mm.
it's not to say that, reasonable minds can't disagree about something, but, I can't be controversial with my avatar either. So,
Right. No, absolutely. It's a very fine line that we have to be explicit about, for sure.
sure.
Um, okay, there's a lot of reports coming in lately about whether it's from Harvard or MIT, that how AI is gonna erode our critical thinking skills. Um,
hmm
Maybe because it's doing a lot of ground up work for us, and then we are just building on top of it. So, what are your thoughts about it? And if so, how are you solving it?
My thoughts about it is this is no different than any other new invention that has come out. Like, I'll use cars as an example. Before there were cars, how do we get from point A to point B? There was a very thriving horse industry in this country. It's like, okay, what are we going to do with all the horses now that we have all these cars? Like, it's just anytime you have new inventions that come out like this, there's going to be controversy. Like, there's no getting around that. I do feel like ultimately, there's always a learning curve, and I do think there's a fear factor whenever there's something new that comes out, like a chat GPT or like an AI, or like AI as it is in this country today. But, we always learn, grow, and adapt. And I don't care what the invention is, whether it was the internet. It was funny because we were cleaning up one of the rooms in my school, and
Mm.
there was we had to look under the bookshelf that had been there probably 25 years, and there was a floppy disk under there. And it
Mm.
was funny because I went to some of my kids. I was like, "Do you know what this is?" They didn't have a clue,
Wow.
right? And that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, first of all, we got a whole generation of kids that all they're going to know is AI. Okay. Like
Mm.
you said, you have a young son. What are they going to know other than AI? Right. And so to me, it's like out with the old, in with the new. I hate to put it like that, but I feel like, this is just the world we live in. And as the world adapts and changes, I like to use my grandmother as an example. She unfortunately passed away in 1990, which, if you think about it, really isn't that long ago. It's only 35 years ago, right? I will tell you 100%, if somehow she was able to come back from the grave,
Mhm.
she would be totally lost.
Yeah.
Totally lost. When you think about all the inventions that have occurred just in the last 35 years, anybody that left this world before 1990, they would be totally lost in the world we live in today,
Right.
right? You name the company, it didn't exist. Amazon, Google, Facebook, none of these companies even existed in 1990,
Right.
right? And so to me, that's just the way the world works. Like, what's good today might not be good tomorrow. I grew up in an era, and I'm older than I look. I'll be 57 next month or in
Mm.
August. And I will tell you 100%, I remember a time when Kmart was way bigger than Walmart.
Yeah.
Okay. So out with the old, in with the new. Like you either grow or you die. You adapt or you're not here anymore. Look at what Amazon did with with bookstores. You know, nobody would have ever thought 30 years ago that bookstores like Barnes and Noble or Books a Million or whatever wouldn't exist on a grand scale. Guess what? They don't. You know what I'm saying? So you got to adapt. You got to be willing to grow with with the new technology, whatever that might be.
No, I agree. I think critical thinking skills in itself, the definition will change a lot. So maybe the current way we are thinking may not be the most relevant in this current space. So I think the skill in itself, the definition will evolve, the importance will evolve. So yeah, I totally
I
align
don't,
with
I don't, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'll tell you one thing that I think that's a misnomer. I don't even think that's true. Like
you.
even when I think about what I'm doing myself, like prompt engineering requires real critical thinking skills.
Hmm.
Like you can't use this AI like a chatbot,
Yeah.
right? You have to be very descriptive. You have to know what your outcome is. You got to be able to put that verbally in writing or whatever in such a way that the AI understands. That's not easy. And
Hmm.
so anybody that says that it is, I challenge them to do it. If it's that easy, start a course because there's a lot of people that can't do that. And so to me, I don't even agree with that. Yeah, can a kid go and get extra help with work or whatever? Like that's always existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, now maybe it's on a much grander scale, obviously with AI. But again, like I said, that same argument, if we're being honest, was there when calculators came out,
Yeah.
right? Oh, kids are going to be able to learn math, because
Mhm.
now they got this calculator. Really?
Yeah.
How'd that turn out? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. All it does when you have this new technology that comes, it just enhances our ability to learn and grow and become more proficient. So I
Mhm.
don't look at that necessarily as the truth when people say that it's going to diminish our mental capacity, our ability to critically think and all that. Because like I said, even with my AI, like I mean, when I'm writing these video scripts for my AI, that's not easy,
Hmm.
and you have to know what you're doing. You have to know how to put words together. You have to be able to think. And so I don't agree with that.
I also have a theory on this that people who are going to use AI without critical thinking are the first one who are going to be replaced by AI.
Absolutely.
So if your task is dumb enough to not even know how to work, that means your task is definitely going to get redundant very soon.
Absolutely. No, that's a very good point. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. How do you define your role as a school principal changing in like next 5 years maybe, or
I
maybe?
really don't know. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think, again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, you have to just have an open mindset because
Hmm.
I don't know. But here's what I do know.
Love
I
that.
do know I have to be willing to adapt and pivot and change if I need to, right?
Hmm.
Because, if you look back in our history, like those who weren't able to adapt, they became extinct very quickly. I don't see any dinosaurs running around here. They weren't able to
Wow.
adapt. You know what I'm
I
saying? And
Yeah, I love your answer. Honestly, saying that I
yeah,
do not know is such a powerful statement because that
yeah,
just opened up your mind to be receptive.
absolutely. I'm
Love.
very open minded. I'm very open minded to what's next. And I am old, right? Like I will be 60 in 3 years. And so for me, I can either grow or I can die very quickly.
I'm just telling you very honestly, if you haven't said that, I would have not known that you're going to be 60 soon.
Well, black don't crack. So,
That's true. That is true. But even from your from your teeth point of view to your overall demeanor,
yeah,
you
yeah,
you're not cracking up, and I'm glad. So
yeah, yeah.
okay. Now it makes me think about what has been the most ridiculous myth around AI that you have encountered in your journey in last few years, a few months maybe.
Um, you say that again. I'm sorry.
Like any ridiculous AI myth, or not even ridiculous, let me not say that. AI myth
Mhm.
that you have seen in the last few months or heard.
Um, I've always believed this is what I do want to say about AI, because anything that comes out new, I always feel like there's always a flip side, right? So I'll use cable TV as an example, right? And you're probably old enough to remember this too. Um, I remember when cable TV came out, it was great. It was like, oh, we go from 2 or 3 channels to 100 channels, right?
Hmm.
What people didn't want to talk about is those 10 or 12 channels that were only shown after dark, right?
Yeah.
Because it was soft porn. And I'm saying all that to say that whenever something new comes out, there's always a good side and a bad side, right? And so I don't think AI is going to be any different in that regard. I think, of course, you'll have people that can use AI for nefarious purposes, and, you know, who knows what they might be able to create. They might be able to create AI porn or whatever. I don't even know what's out there. I don't think like that, so I can't even imagine. But
Hmm.
I can definitely imagine that somebody's going to come up with something foolish as it relates to AI,
Hmm.
and so that's just part of it. But again, that's with anything, right? Like, we can go back to any invention and there's a good side and a bad side. And I would say for the most part, it's going to be better, then it's going to be worse and detrimental to our society. And I'm not saying that there won't be some issues. There's definitely going to be some issues, but that's also not a reason to not do it either. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Because if that's the case, we could have said that with any invention that's come across, right? Okay, Orville and Wilbur Wright, they created the plane. Some planes crash. What? We're not going to fly anymore? Like, it's just part
Yeah.
of it,
Yeah, I
you
agree.
know?
I think the most common myth I have seen around AI is people saying that it's a very recent phenomena. While on the contrary, AI in itself has been evolving under our noses or without our conscious awareness ever since. Even Google search is an AI in itself.
It
How
really is. Yeah.
so, so there has been a lot of AIs existing. In fact, when OpenAI started as an organization, ChatGPT was not their first go-to product. It was an experiment which just blew out of proportion. So they were also gonna
Oh,
be
wow.
they were also supposed to be more like a API business for developers for
Mm-hmm.
helping them and not being a customer facing front end product. So that they just
Right.
changed the game so quickly and it went out of hand. So because I was a very early user of the first version of ChatGPT,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
being the benefits of being in SF that you always knew things ahead of time.
No, that's good.
So yeah,
But, but I think a lot of inventions happen like that, where, it wasn't necessarily the intent. And for whatever reason, the company was able to pivot and go into something that was game changing, right? I think about something like Amazon. Amazon started out with only one goal, and that was to basically put Barnes and Noble and Books a Million and companies like that out of business. You can't tell me Jeff Bezos in the beginning thought that Amazon would be what it is today. You know what
oh,
I mean? And so,
absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? And I mean, one of the biggest parts of Amazon is Amazon Web Services. Like,
Right.
who would have thought that would have been a product or something that would have came out of Amazon in its initial stages. So, yeah, I mean, the one thing, and this hurts my heart, is that even when I think about Amazon, I remember when the .com bubble burst, and it was 2000. I
Mhm.
was 23 years of age, and Amazon was like $5 a share. Like, if I'd have bought 1,000 shares just for $5,000,
Wow.
be a
Okay.
different conversation right now, right? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, we've been, if we're real honest about it, we've been a part of so many game changing organizations that if we had invested and believed in them early on, financially, just from a financial standpoint, it could have changed our lives, right? And so what I'm trying not to do is let history repeat itself. Yeah, I missed out on Facebook. I missed out on Amazon. I missed out on all these different companies that if I had believed enough in them, who knows where I could be. But again, it goes back to even Amazon, like, or even a Google. Like, you would not have necessarily bet on a Google. You might
Right.
have bet on, Yahoo. And we saw what happened with Yahoo. And so you just never know.
Yeah. Agreed. Absolutely. Um, so that brings me to my last question. I'm
Hmm.
glad the leadership has to be the first one to embrace the new technologies, new change, and you are doing it fantastically. I have
Yeah.
to definitely appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
But how are you percolating it down to your teachers and students?
Um, in drips, I think it's important to not overwhelm them
Hmm.
with what is in here for me. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, change doesn't happen overnight. You're trying to steer the Titanic, not a tugboat, right? And
Right.
so it's gonna happen slowly, but it's going to be consistent. And like, I'll give you a perfect example. Like, we're in the summertime. This is summer 2025 as we have this conversation. And I'm not necessarily going to use my AI avatar for my school, but I am going to incorporate something very similar to that, as it relates to my own voice. I use 11 Labs, so, they did a really good job of cloning my voice. And so, whether it's conversations that I might have, through our communication with our parents, through, it's called Parent Square, that probably will be my clone. You know what I mean? It'll probably be my voice, but it won't necessarily be me live. So there's ways that I can incorporate it where people wouldn't even necessarily know that it's being
Yeah.
incorporated, right? And so I think just helping them to understand that it's here to stay, and just showing them it might be a really phenomenal product, AI product that we're using for our SPED students. Who knows? Like,
Hmm.
again, for me, it's just being very open and being willing to share this with my leadership team, share this with my school community, my parents, and letting them know that not only are we using it, but we're also helping prepare your students or your children to be able to use
Hmm.
this important technology.
No, absolutely. In fact, I was talking to a school leader and they said that they're using voices of Morgan Freeman or other celebrities because they just sound so more intriguing and more create
Yeah,
curiosity among kids that we are just trying
yeah.
to use and using that. And I found that a very interesting application for sure. So yeah,
Yeah,
similar to what you're saying.
no, there's a lot of there's a lot of things you can do with it, and that's the beauty of it. The thing that I've always considered myself a creative anyway, and the one thing that I love about AI more than anything from a personal standpoint is the creativity piece. Like, it's allowed me to explode with creative ideas that were just ideas in here, before AI, before ChatGPT and some of the, different things that you can do with AI today. And so that's why I'm so grateful for it, is it's already kind of allowed me to be who I truly am. And so it's been really cool.
Perfect, perfect. No, sounds good. This has been a very exciting and very to the point conversation, which I always appreciate. So thank you so much
Yeah.
for doing this, Dr. Joseph.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Perfect.
Thank you for watching. Join our journey at Tomo Club